If you are a wedding or event designer and AI still feels overwhelming to you, you might have tried it, hated how it turned out, or just couldn't get the images you wanted, you are in the right place. I've created over 94,000 images in MidJourney alone, including some pretty popular wedding designs on Pinterest, and I have figured out what actually works, and I'm here to show you so you don't have to learn the hard way like I did. I'm Alessandra, and I help event pros master AI so that they can design stunning weddings and events without wasting time but still wowing their clients. Today, we're going to go through prompting a beautiful centerpiece, a beautiful tablescape, while learning some features about MidJourney and prompting in general that are going to make you a pro in no time. And if you're new here, this is part of a multi-episode mini crash course for using MidJourney for events and weddings. And every episode we learn a new AI skill or two, tackle a different part of the event design process, and help make sure that you are able to wow your clients. So let's dive right in. Centerpieces. Let's start there because they're kind of the foundation for most parties. Even the simplest centerpiece can make a big difference. But when I ask MidJourney for simple centerpieces, we get these wide range of options. A luncheon centerpiece, not what I would have come up with on my own. Low centerpiece, sure, those are technically low centerpieces, classic centerpieces. Also, yes, but they're very elaborate, let's say. So this is all about teaching you prompting and helping you come up with that muscle memory of coming up with a prompt that makes sense to you, sense to the AI, and more importantly, has the outcome closer to what you want. Now, I think of prompting as a way of explaining to somebody who can't see, right? Because the AI can't see. So I'm trying to describe what are the elements that I would tell somebody sitting next to me that's like, tell me what the centerpiece looks like. Okay, well, it's a low centerpiece. So we're going to start with low centerpieces, or just, yeah, low centerpieces I think are basic. So centerpiece, we can use these for baby showers, galas, luncheons, fundraisers. Makes sense, right? Low centerpiece, we'll run that again. And then we're, just for the purposes of explaining things and as a recap from last week, if we go to our stylization and we bump it up to 250, I just want to show you before we even get started with things, how crazy the stylization could potentially be. So this is with the default low centerpiece style 100. Beautiful images, absolutely beautiful. All of those arrangements would be lovely. But notice how as the style 250 comes in, we get a lot more variety and details and textures popping up in here. And I think that's just something we want to keep in mind for later. For now, while we're rendering, I'm going to keep our style value back at the classic 100, the default there, because that'll make things a lot easier. And as a recap, we're also going to be developing this prompt in the square aspect ratio, okay? Because that's the default for MidJourney and most AI, and that's what the AI is trained in the most. So you're most likely to get success with that square ratio. So we'll let it run again. Now, let's say we have a spring baby shower coming up, right? So we might be doing pinks or blues or yellows or something like that. So what would you add? I would start with low centerpiece with, let's just say, pink flowers, right? Because that's what you would want, you would think, right? Well, yes, that's a great place to start. We can see how there's a wide variety of color coming in by default from MidJourney. So now that we said pink flowers, let's see what shows up. Okay, well, we have a bit of a tropical one. This one kind of tropical, a little bit more modern, a little, well, those are all over the place. Okay, we got a little bit of everything here. But this is really important to notice. All we said was low centerpiece with pink flowers. But you're like, oh, Alessandra, we're doing a baby shower. You're right. So we'll refine our prompt further. We'll say light pink flowers because we want to be as specific as possible when we're doing this. So let's also run this again and we'll say light pink flowers. But we can go so far as to say pink hydrangea and white roses. You know, you could go in a lot of different directions. So now while that's running, we can see that the one we just said light pink flowers, they are light pink flowers in here. We have this one with roses, hydrangeas. We've got some maybe dahlias, ranunculus, and some of these other ones over here. But your average client probably isn't going to be doing a, you know, elaborate centerpiece like these, which is why we ran it again. And we specifically said pink hydrangea, white roses, because that's, let's be honest, that's a little bit more budget friendly, right? So in this one, it did get it. It looks okay. Now we can do this again. And I just, while we're getting closer to what we want, I just want to show you when we run that again with stylized 250, I like to bounce back and forth because I think it's helpful to see the prompt could be good, but it could not have enough stylized value to give that extra oomph. So that's why I like to periodically go back and test it with the higher stylized value. Now in this instance, yeah, it made a little bit of a difference. I don't think it made a huge difference. I probably wouldn't use the stylized 250 again just yet, but I think we're getting pretty close to what we could use for a centerpiece. Now notice how we're getting, let's see, like a glass bowl, silver pedestals. Let's just say we wanted on a gold floral riser, right? Because maybe it's pink, white, and gold theme, okay? So we're going to add another element, another color at the end, and just let one element go in at a time. I know it's hard to wait, but okay, now look at this. We got a gold floral riser. Okay, this is going really well. I like this a lot. We definitely got that. Now let's just say on a gold compote vase, because that'll keep it a little bit lower, a little bit wider, because there's nothing wrong with these. They're both technically low, but we want that to be like the low centerpiece because this is a daytime event. We don't need it to be super fussy, right? Okay, so I put a few in. We had the gold riser here, which was a little bit taller. I asked for a gold compote vase, and technically these are them. I ran it again just to see if they would render a little bit lower, and they sort of did. Because remember, this is a numbers game with AI. You're not going to get it necessarily on the first try. So I tried it again, and I said on a low, wide gold vase, because maybe compote vase or compote bowl doesn't make sense to them. And sure enough, when I added gold compote bowl vase, that's when we started to get them a little bit lower, or a little bit closer to what we wanted. The vase is a little bit lower. And so little things like adding the word bowl made a big difference. And then I wonder if we take the word vase out, will that change anything? I don't know. But that's why this is a perfect example of just tweaking one element at a time, right? So one element at a time. Let's see, this is, yeah, they're definitely getting a little bit lower. I think, oh yeah, this one you could see as it's rendering. Yes, much nicer. That's perfect. Look at that. Okay, we're definitely getting closer to what we want. Excellent. All right, so let's say this is what you're happy with for a centerpiece, but you're like, Alessandra, what about the rest of the table? Don't worry, we're going to work that in now. So let's just say on a round table. Start with something simple like that. You're going to have a 72-inch round, whatever. I wouldn't worry about the particulars of what size round table you're rendering in here, at least not yet. That's a little bit hit or miss, and truthfully, that is a much more advanced technique. But notice that now that we have on a round table, we're starting to get a little bit more of a defined table in here. Just a little bit. And we can rerun it again just to play the numbers game, which I love. But let's say this is a baby shower. We've decided that it's a white, pink, gold theme. So let's say with a pink tablecloth. And while that's rendering, think to yourself, hopefully the energy will come to me and I'll be like, they got it right. What did I do wrong here with that prompt? I went ahead and I said a round table with a pink tablecloth. There's technically nothing wrong with that, but what could we do better is what we should be asking ourselves. Well, we could specify, is it a light pink tablecloth? Is it a neon pink tablecloth? this is where the particulars can really be important. So let's just say, let's run it as a light pink tablecloth, which is what we ideally should have done. And then let's say a bright pink tablecloth, because when you are trying to recreate this for a client, you know, polyester linens, which is probably what a lot of the defaults are going to be for parties anyways. It's what a lot of the images are going to render. You're going to want to specify what color you're getting. It might not be exactly, you know, the one that your rental company can get, but it's really important to note. So now look, light pink tablecloth rendered a light pink tablecloth, and it kind of encouraged the light pink flowers. But when we added just bright pink to the tablecloth, it changed everything completely. Not completely, but it made a big difference. We're seeing a lot more bright pink flowers rendering in here, and that's not what we want. So thankfully the light pink tablecloth is working out really good. So we can rerun this again, and we can say light pink tablecloth, but we could say polyester. We should try that. And then we should try it again with sequins. Those are popular with a lot of showers. And we can use it again, and we can say velvet. So this is where I want you to think about, what type of linen am I suggesting to my clients? What's in their budget? What are some concepts we're throwing around? Because you're able to get a lot of that imaging into these pictures. Maybe not perfectly, but you're going to get there, I promise. All right, so this was the pink polyester tablecloth. Yeah, looks pretty much like a polyester tablecloth. Sequins, hit or miss, I will say. We can rerun all of these one more time to give them another opportunity. The velvet, pink velvet tablecloth. Yep, we can definitely tell there's some stuff there that's velvety like. I like those. Now, I will say with something like the sequins, this is another one of those where I would be willing to spend an extra couple minutes and run it on 250, style 250, and see how that turns out, because the details for sequins can be pretty taxing for the rendering process, and I find that, you know, sometimes they come out better than others. It can make it. I've made them before. Sometimes it comes out really well, sometimes it doesn't. That was a good first exercise. Let's try something else. Let's say you have a boys' baby shower, a baby shower for boys. How would you prompt? Like, take a second, think about what would you put first now that we've gone through this exercise. Yes, you absolutely could just go in, and that's the great thing about some of this is, let's say you want to use this. Yes, you could just switch out blue anywhere we have pink in here, and or you know where it makes sense. Blue hydrangeas with a blue. Yes, so that is a great option. Once you get some prompts down for things that you know you could make all day every day, this is a great way to make it a time saver for you, so you don't have to come up with something from scratch every time. But let's just try to flow in real time here. So these are coming out great, but let's just say blue and white hydrangea, low centerpiece on a light blue tablecloth, round table, gold bowl. See what happens. Now this is coming out really great. Loving how these are working so far. I think if we're focusing on the centerpieces at large here, perfectly fine, very manageable. We can also run this again with things like like the word simple. You know, adding little things in sometimes doesn't make a difference. Sometimes it does, but adding the word simple as the first word in the entire prompt, so that's the first thing the AI is going to see. I'm curious to see how that changes things, if it does. Yeah, it did. It made them a little bit smaller, a little bit, I mean, not all of them, but some of them definitely more compact. Interesting. Now, how cool is that? So now if you're like, hey, I need to put together a catalog of my centerpieces ideas, You could literally have some of these, print them out, have them in your catalog, and let clients just point to things. Like you can come up with a recipe for these. Your florist can come up with a recipe for these. You know, how many hydrangeas do you need? How much greenery? You know, how much stock, whatever, and put together some pricing just to get ideas going, right? Like these might not have to be perfectly exact, but I bet you can get some of these on Amazon. These compote bowls, I know you can get on there. So this is very recreatable. This is very manageable. So the takeaways in this lesson are really building on last time. So we're adding one element at a time, but this is really about honing in on the specifics. We have a light blue tablecloth. We have a blue and white hydrangea. We have a light blue flowers. You know, if we want to go, let's say yellow flowers, blue hydrangeas, and we'll just take this bowl out, and it's gonna be yellow, blue on blue, right? Like coming up with the specifics of what you're looking for is really important. And I think going back to our pink example here, where like we put bright pink in and look how much it changed it. And then if we well, here we'll rerun it again so it's up at the top. But oh wow, look at that yellow. We just added yellow in here. That's all we did. We took out the compote bowl, whatever, but the yellow made a big difference in the composition, the arrangement. Like I would love this for like a little shower centerpiece. I think that's adorable. A little bit on the higher end here. So we're going back to our pink here. Bright pink tablecloth, bright pink rendered, bright pink flowers. But then if we went white roses, and then we added on to our flower area, and we said bright, maybe even spelled it right, bright pink orchids. Let's put orchids in so we know that it's telling us orchids. We want orchids. It's giving us orchids. You could be really specific with the flowers. 100% accuracy, yeah, maybe, but I think with hydrangeas, roses, sunflowers, a lot of like the daisies, stuff like that, it does a really good job. And look at orchids. I asked for bright pink orchids and we got bright pink orchids. So being specific about the colors, the specific shades, the hues, the textures of the linens that you're looking for, what type of linen. You know, it's not going to be able to get a perfect match of a tablecloth that you might be renting from BBJ or somebody like that. But I bet you could get something similar just to get the idea going. So I hope this has been helpful for you. We've got some centerpieces going. You now know how to prompt more specifically, adding in the colors and the textures for your specific design elements that your clients are requesting of you. And if nothing else, I hope this helps get you some ideas going if you need to build a catalog or get some ideas just to put on your website of what you would love to do for inspiration for a client. This is a great way to get started. Make sure you're subscribed because this is just one episode of a multi-part series where I'm going to be teaching you MidJourney and AI for events and weddings and parties and all things celebrations, and you're not going to want to miss future episodes.